To me, and probably to most of you, fragrances are very related with memories. Therefore, in today's video, I'm gonna take a trip down on memory lane. I'm gonna talk about fragrances that have a strong connection when it comes to my memories. It won't be a very long list because I'm just trying to talk to you about the most important fragrances in my life. I can consider them to be so, because basically they signify something very important to me. So let's start with the first fragrance in this list. And this fragrance has a really strong connection with me because it's the first fragrance that I ever reviewed on this channel. It was about 8 years ago, 9 years ago. I honestly cannot remember because so many years have passed. This was actually the first fragrance that I decided to review. It's a designer fragrance. And what I have here is actually the original bottle, the one that was featured in that video. And the fragrance is called Azzaro Chrome Legend. Therefore, I have very fond memories with this one. A very beautiful fragrance, a very beautiful designer fragrance, at least in this iteration, the original iteration, because what you can find right now is absolutely garbage. It has nothing in common with what I have here. This was a nuclear, and still is a nuclear fragrance on my skin. It performs like crazy, and I simply love it because it's very fresh, very uplifting, very invigorating, and also it features a very nice, beautiful green apple note. Therefore, this was my first ever reviewed fragrance on this channel. It wasn't my first fragrance throughout my life. But when I decided many years ago that I want to start reviewing fragrances also, this was the one. Azzaro Chrome Legend. My next entry in this list, of which I'm very fond, actually I love this fragrance because it's very evocative of my childhood. So whenever I wear it, it takes me back to my childhood. When I was a small kid, when I was in my summer vacations with my grandparents. This is Birdie from GaVo. A very, very simple yet beautiful, elegant, melancholic type of fragrance. This smells like wet grass after a summer heavy rain. I simply love it. I simply love this scent. It's evocative for me because it takes me back so many years ago when I was just a kid and I was going to visit my grandparents in the countryside, and we were staying there our whole vacation, summer vacation, which was about 3 months, and we were working the fields and taking care of the animals and so on and so forth. This is where it takes me back. Those were some really, really beautiful years together with my cousins, together with our family. We had a lot of fun with our childhood friends. This is where I go every single time when I smell and also when I wear Birdie from GaVo. By the way, this is the original bottle. Really beautiful scent, simplistic, quite linear, but not always do you need to have a very complex composition to simply fall in love with it. Okay, let's go further. And my next entry in this list, down on memory lane, is actually my first ever full bottle review of a niche fragrance. And if I can only find it, it's from Acqua di Parma, and it's, where is it? This one, right here. Again, it wasn't my first niche fragrance. It wasn't my first encounter with niche perfumery, but many years ago, when I decided to switch from designer fragrances to niche only fragrances, this was actually my first review done to a full bottle of a niche perfume. And this is Fico di Amalfi. One of my all-time favorite scents, one of my signature scents, if you want, because I wore this one so many times. Actually, this isn't my first bottle. I've lost count of how many bottles of Fico di Amalfi I had. I simply love the interpretation of fig in this composition. Green, dusty, aromatic, fruity, and with a lot of beautiful citruses. Also, I get really nice performance with this one on my skin, and it's such a versatile perfume. My first ever review of a niche fragrance in a full bottle presentation, because I had many, many reviews prior to this one. But at that moment, I was still testing niche perfumery. I was still buying decants and samples and whatnot. exactly what I'm encouraging you to do, well, this was the first one. Fico di Amalfi from Acqua di Parma. My next entry in this list comes from a lesser known perfume house, niche perfume house, but it's very important for me, not mainly because of how it smells, not mainly because of the composition, but mainly because it gets inspired from one of my favorite places in this world. From Panush, Paris, comes this beautiful, incredible fruity fragrance called Patchouli Figuier. And the inspiration of this fragrance is a place, a fisherman's village called Vasiliki in the Greek island of Lefkada. And that place for me has a lot of importance. It's one of my favorite places in the entire world. That island is one of my favorite places, actually. But to me, every single time that I wear this fragrance, every single time that I sniff it, every single time that I remember that this is inspired by Lefkada, by Vasiliki, to me it means a lot. Because for me, Lefkada, and Vasiliki for that matter, is a place of rebirth, if you want. It's a place where God blessed me for the second time in this life. It's a place of highly significance, both spiritual and not only. Therefore, Patchouli Figuier, being inspired by that village, according to the official release press from the house, to me is very, very dear. If you love figs, if you love ripe, fruity figs, you're gonna definitely love Patchouli Figuier. Very strong, very potent, very long-lasting. Panush, Paris, Patchouli Figuier. Also, it has a very beautiful patchouli note inside the composition, so it's not only about the figs. My next entry is actually the fragrance that's hated by a lot of people. And yeah, what can I say? It's hated by beginners. But to me, this fragrance represents the first time, and I was collecting already for a couple of years niche fragrances, but this fragrance to me represents the first time when my jaw dropped after sniffing it. I was in pure awe when I sniffed the first time this incredible beast of a fragrance from the house of Amouage. And this is called Figment Man. Wow. What an important milestone, if you want, in my fragrance journey. I will never forget this fragrance. I cannot, because I have it in my collection and it will always be in my collection. This was the first time, and mind you, it even wasn't my first encounter with the house of Amouage. It wasn't the first Amouage that I reviewed, the first Amouage that I bought, the first Amouage that I smelled or tried on my skin. But for the first time, this was a fragrance that simply stunned me. Stunned me because of how it smells, because of how realistic it felt to me, because it instantaneously transported me to a very dark trail in a forest during a summer day after a summer rain. And this is the exact feeling that I get every single time when I smell and wear this fragrance. It's very earthy, it's very aromatic, it's very woody, and it's very animalic. It's somewhat dampy, and I simply love it because it's so realistic to that image that I just portrayed you with the forest trail after a long, heavy summer rain. I was truly amazed the first time that I sniffed it. I was truly impressed by the quality, by the artistry, and let's not forget the performance of this one. This is one of the best fragrances from Amouage when it comes to performance, nuclear stuff. Yeah, Figment Man from my beloved Amouage, because it's basically my favorite niche house, without any doubt. And in the same ballpark, I could include this fragrance, which is from Panadora, and it's called Grand Masque. Same thing happened to me, just like with Amouage Figment Man, when I first unboxed and sniffed Grand Masque. It was my first encounter with real, but truly real musk. And oh boy, what an experience. It was love at first sniff. It was, and still is, unforgettable. Yeah, same thing goes for Panadora Grand Masque. So if you love musky scents, but animalic scents, if you love real musk in your fragrances, in my honest opinion, this should be one of those fragrances that you need to have in your collection. Let's go to my next entry, down on memory lane, because there has to be a Tom Ford. And unfortunately, I know it's a cult classic, if you want, but although I have it in my collection, I didn't bought it because I loved it, or I don't know, something like this. I simply bought it because I wanted it to be part of my collection, although I'm not wearing it. This was the first scent ever that I truly disliked. Yeah, truly disliked. Let's say that after so many years, after sniffing it for the first time and trying it for the first time, my feelings have changed a bit, but not too much. And this is Tuscan Leather. Yeah, I really disliked and still dislike this fragrance and this style of fragrances. I never enjoyed, never liked the leather inside this one. Leather isn't one of my favorite fragrance notes. It depends quite a lot how it's interpreted, but I never liked Tuscan Leather due to the leather and also because of the raspberry note. Never enjoyed this one, still don't quite enjoy it. I might find use for it in some limited scenarios in my wearing, let's say, rotation, but no. Still no. It's a still no-go fragrance for me. But it marks, again, a very important point in my experience, being the first fragrance, niche fragrance, that I truly despised and disliked. Also, even because it was on everybody's lips. It was so overhyped, and still is quite overhyped. But back in the days, this was very overhyped. Just like Black Orchid was, if you remember. But that one is in the designer line from Tom Ford. But still, kind of share the same, let's say, fate. My next fragrance, and this is a fragrance that always takes me to the seaside. I love the sea. I love being at the seaside. I can hardly wait for summer to come back, to have my summer holiday, my summer vacation. But this one reminds me a lot of the Ionian Sea. Again, more specifically, the west part of Greece. And this fragrance to me always takes me to the saltiness, to the oceanic saltiness of the very beautiful blue waters of the Ionian Sea. And the fragrance is called Phthalo Blue from Tower. To me, this is my favorite aquatic scent. I love wearing this one so much. Great composition, great smell, and incredible performance. Compared to this one, Mega Mare is a child's play. Compared to this one, everything else out there on the market, Acqua di Sale, for example, from Perfumery Roma, is a child's play. Because this to me is the most realistic, the most natural, the most beautiful rendition of the sea. The saltiness of the sea, the oceanic feeling, the, let's say, cold water, the blue water, and everything that represents the sea. Phthalo Blue from Andy Tower. And my last entry in this list is actually the fragrance with which I share a lot of beautiful memories. Some of my most important memories in my entire life. That's why I kept it for last. This is the fragrance that I wore when I got married, at my civil communion, at my religious communion. This is the fragrance that I wore when I graduated my second university and got my engineering degree. This is the fragrance that I wore when my children were born. This is the fragrance that I've worn on so many important and beautiful occasions in my life. And it's the same one, Ombre Noir from Lalique. My precious, let's call it like this. This is my precious. I simply love it. I simply love this stuff. I've worn this fragrance every single time important things happened in my life, good or bad for that matter. I've worn this one on so many occasions. I've worn this one with so much success throughout my life. That's why this is my top signature scent, and this is why I simply love it so much. Because I have a lot of memories of which I'm very fond, and this basically has been an important part in my life, scent related. A truly magnificent creation from the house of Lalique. Too bad it was discontinued. Too bad it's very scarce on the market, and it's quite hard to find it actually right now. From what I know, it isn't anymore available on their website, because it was an online fragrance in the past 2 years, and apparently they decided to remove it after it was originally discontinued about 3 years and a half ago. But still, I still have enough in my bottle, so I don't know, roughly 50-60 milliliters, so it will last me many years from now on, because I don't wear it very often. I wear it, as I said, only at important events throughout my life. And if I get a second bottle, I wouldn't mind, but well, what can I say? I just need to scan the market, and hopefully another bottle will pop up somewhere and I can grab it. But as I said, this is my most important fragrance when it comes to memories throughout my life, at least in my last 10 years. So this is my list with, let's say, down on memory lane fragrances. I'm quite curious if you have this type of fragrances in your collection. I'm quite curious in the comments, if you want to comment in the comment section, what these fragrances would be to you, these down on memory lane fragrances would be, and why they are important to you. But as I said, these are fragrances that basically represent, from a memories point of view, a lot to me as a consumer, as a passionate, as a collector eventually, because as you can see, I also collect them. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. This is my, let's say, trip down on memory lane in terms of perfumes, in terms of fragrances. As always, my friends, keep in mind, I never encourage you to blind buy fragrances. Therefore, go ahead and sample. Go ahead and purchase small quantities. See how they work on your own skin, and only afterwards decide if they're worth or not the price tag. That's solely up to you. Do not be influenced by brand ambassadors, by influencers and so-called reviewers in the online, because it's your money and you need to decide for your money. As always, thank you for watching. Thank you for your attention. Hopefully, I'm going to catch you in the next one. Be safe. Be good. Peace.